As most of us have heard, and as we've discussed here over the past couple of weeks, Virgin Galactic is moving to Spaceport America. The announcement has the potential to jumpstart New Mexico's aerospace industry. That's why we've invited Spaceport America CEO Dan Hicks to our studio. Thanks for being here, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Gene, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come here and be with you and just this important program that you have that gets information out to the public.
We're space geeks up in here. We love it. We think it's just really kind of fun. So we're grateful for your time.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you
Absolutely.
again for the invite and just being around space geeks, man. This is what a wonderful day this is.
That's right. Hey, top to bottom, let's talk about Virgin Galactic, and you've got folks coming in. I'm imagining there's a lot of work going on to accommodate these folks coming in. What's going on now to set up the infrastructure and stuff to receive Virgin Galactic?
So we had a wonderful announcement, right, with Sir Richard and the Governor, Lujan Grisham, a couple weeks ago, and that whole focus of that announcement was jobs. They're moving jobs to New Mexico this summer. Basically, they're moving their operations from Mojave to come to New Mexico and finish out their flight test program sometime later this year. And so with that comes kind of finalizing the preparation work at the spaceport. Both Virgin staff and my state employees too, working on the fuel farm, getting that finished where we have all of the avgas and the jet fuel and the unleaded diesel, things like that from a logistics perspective, being sure everything is ready by summertime. And then from Virgin's side, they're doing a lot of work there at the Gateway to Space, their beautiful facility, to be sure that it's finished up, the interior's all perfect where they want. So there's a lot of neat things that are going on there at the spaceport. Primarily though is just making these families feel welcome. There's a lot of excitement we're sensing from many of the families that are coming and some of the positions that'll be hired here locally. So Mike Moses, the president under George Whitesides, Mike runs Virgin Galactic, and Jules, his operations chief. They're both getting ready to move their families on down. And so it's exciting that the leadership, everybody's coming and setting that excitement, that tone. So to your question, there's a lot, you're right, there's a lot happening just to make those families feel welcome over the summer.
I can imagine. I get this question a lot on this point about families coming in. You live in Cruces. Is the city ready to accommodate these folks? Is there activity going on in the real estate end of the world and the other ends of the world in Las Cruces for a welcome for these folks?
So there is. The communities are doing a great job of reaching out, both in Sierra County with TRC and Elephant Butte, and then in Doña Ana County with Las Cruces, kind of the big dwelling centers of people. And what we're going to have is some of the population from the Virgin Galactic operations will decide they'd want to be in a city like Cruces. Some will decide they want to be in a city like TRC or Elephant Butte. And so the communities are ensuring that they're working well with the HR personnel at Virgin Galactic, said, hey, here's opportunities. In fact, we actually reached out about 6 months ago. We sent a team of some of my staff and some of the local chamber and some of the educational. They all went out and said, here's what the two counties, here's what Las Cruces and TRC are, to give them kind of a heads up. That was back, last fall, I believe we did that, just to make them feel welcome at what they're getting into. And so that got a lot of excitement. And then with this announcement that here's the date, right? We're doing it this summer. So now the brokers, are working with the staff. I mean, everyone that's planning on moving, I'm sure, has got their broker.
Right.
And Jason Lazich, who's already from Virgin Galactic, already has 45 people there in Las Cruces. He and his team are kind of, the support group, the liaison, says, hey, here's who I went with, here's this. And of course, the chamber's just doing a great job with Debbie Moore there in Cruces and the chambers in TRC and Elephant Butte. They're all just really reaching out.
Good stuff.
A bit.
Logistical question, you folks had asked the legislature for some $61 million this past for capital improvements, but you only got approved for $19 million. Do you have enough cash on hand to get everything you need done to make this work come this summer?
So I'll get by this summer.
Okay.
But what I really need the rest of that funding for is some key facilities. And one of the most important ones for this type of operation is going to be a welcome education center for the public that comes. So right now we have this beautiful Gateway to Space, and I've got an operations center. One of the projects that I put in last year was for a welcome education center. They're at the spaceport. That's got a facility where we can have parking, where we can have buses, where we can have a cafeteria, where people can feel welcome, where we can do really neat things with an educational component, with a working with our friends in DCA, Debbie and her team, and the State Historic Preservation to talk about the history in this. So that's kind of the center we want to get built very quickly. So no, didn't get funded. Hopefully when Virgin, is moving here this summer, we'll work the next legislative session, work with the leadership, Governor Lujan Grisham and her team. And some of these capital outlay projects, Gene, I think are going to be very, very important to quickly get in place.
Yeah.
So we're working kind of the drawings, just trying to get ahead of the game so we can come back to the legislative session and said, here's where our pressure points are. Here's where, welcoming the public for maybe these first few flights, so we can do much better than that. So thank you for asking that question, because those were well thought out a year ago, things that we needed to support the growing space industry, not just Virgin Galactic,
Right.
but the rest of the companies that we have there too.
Speaking of which, nice segue there. You've got a half dozen paying tenants at this point, but what caught my eye is in the Crucis paper you had mentioned you've got about 30 prospects nibbling at the hook right now, as they say. How many of those are you expecting to come in? That's a pretty good pipeline. If you've got that many coming in, even if a third of those come through, that's a pretty significant bump for your tenant count.
That is, and there's a lot of dialogue. I'd like to go back and
Sure.
just why that's happening now. But specific to that point, Gene, I think the fact that we've got these non-disclosure agreements, these kind of discussion agreements with these companies, because it's such a competitive environment in the space industry, and they're making site selection decisions. They're looking around the country where they can go with their technology to finish its development, to go operational. And so what they're seeing is, Spaceport America has a lot of unique attributes. Access to space being one of them. Yeah. Surface to unlimited with our restricted airspace partnership with White Sands. Missile range. And the fact that the high altitude and the beautiful climate, there's so many benefits, and they're sensing that. So the pipeline is very robust. You bring up a very good point. Not all of them will be coming. Some may be a technology that doesn't make sense at Spaceport America, but the majority of them actually have a good business case for coming. But that's again where, staffing, resourcing, having myself and a couple people on board to do the needed things in business development, in any type of business relationship. If you're not reaching out, touching your customer, once a day, once a week,
That's right.
bringing them in, it's going to be tough to get them to see.
Yeah.
And that's the competitive environment with the other spaceports. They're doing the same thing. So our selling point is we have natural, unique abilities that they don't.
Right.
It's just ensuring that we're resourced as an agency to be able to seal the deal going
Can I
forward.
ask you to expand on that a little bit? Even Sir Richard Branson mentioned that he envisioned a world, literally, dotted by spaceports all over the place at some point down the road in the future. How do we keep our edge? How do we keep our advantage with more and more spaceports? Of course, there's one in Texas. Colorado's been talking about opening one. How do we stay at the top of our game when all these others open?
So Colorado, Front Range up there, just 4 miles outside of Denver, International Airport, this big aviation hub, they became the most recent spaceport. There's now 11, 12, I think, actually licensed spaceports in the United States. Everything from Mojave to Space California, the two over there. You've got Florida with about 3 of them. You've got Virginia. There's more states now wanting to get licensed. And so your question, how do we remain competitive, is actually ensuring that our leaders and our taxpayers in New Mexico realize what the competitive environment is. And so you have these other states that realize, man, in order to get these companies, I've got to have a business-friendly environment. And and the current governor, Lujan, she gets that. She's all about the space sector. And I'm convinced with the great secretaries that she's appointed, we'll do that. But it comes down to making some tough decisions, right? In resourcing. Right now, my budget, I'm kind of constrained with a small staff. My peer group, good example is my good buddies in Florida. 56 people on their staff.
Wow.
And they are pretty much have some great capabilities, excess NASA capacity that they're using now. So they're kind of brokering that excess capacity
Sure, I
that
can
they've
see
got.
it.
We're actually operating a city in the middle of the desert. And so
Right.
we've got to do everything kind of on our own. So ensuring that we're resourced and ensuring that as our leaders go forward, the narrative isn't necessarily, hey, this has got to be self-sustaining, because there is no spaceport in the nation that is self-sustaining.
That's right.
The state invests in it, just like airports, just like highways, to grow the economy, to grow jobs. And our peer group, Florida and Virginia, they are well outpacing us. So the risk is there. Not that we have to do all the investment that they're doing at the same level, because our state, obviously, there's certain things we can afford and can't. But we have to do a little bit better, I think, in ensuring that we are resourcing enough staff that we can just reach out and touch these people on a continual basis. So having a legislature support and a knowledge that says, should we be 90% reimbursable? Well, that's not it. Florida is about, so quick example, $50 million goes straight to them for certain projects and payroll. And they're about probably 5% reimbursable.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because what they know is when you bring companies, you get jobs. And so that's kind of a narrative that as we go forward in time, that's what we work with the legislative and executive branch. What is the right mix? I've got some great concepts and some ideas on how we can grow and not be, totally taxpayer funded, because that's not right either. But there's a fine balance of should you be about 50% reimbursable, which is probably a good model to get to, where you continually invest in the infrastructure, invest in certain growth areas, because that brings in companies, that brings in jobs, and that brings needed payroll into the state in a high aerospace sector.
That's right.
And we'll get there. I'm convinced. I mean, was envisioned well before my time with some very smart leaders back in the early 90s, that this Office of Spaceports, that we can do things. But, when we go through some hard times like we have recently as a state, where we didn't have a lot of funding or budget, they made some tough and some right decisions. All agencies were very well constrained. But now it gets to your very good question. Okay, how do we be competitive in this environment? Well, we have to look at what the peer groups are doing, and then we have to figure out what we can afford as a state.
Right.
And I think that's my job as the CEO, to come up with those not only comparisons, understanding what the competition is, but come up with the governor and here's some solutions. Here's things that I think we can do.
Right.
That doesn't break the bank.
That's right.
But allows us to still be competitive.
Dan Hicks, really want to thank you for coming in, CEO of Spaceport America. 14 years is a long time to wait. It's now upon us. There's lots of ink out there, a lot of press saying this is the front edge of the era of space for this country, that we could soon be in a new place on it. And the fact that it could happen here in New Mexico is really interesting, really fun. So congratulations.
Oh, it is. This is really New Mexico's destiny. What Virgin is doing is helping us get to our destiny. And
That's right.
We have so much more to offer with the beautiful Space Valley, as Governor Lujan Grisham coined.
Yeah.
This is really a beautiful Space Valley for our future space sector in our nation.
Good
So
for New
thank
Mexico.
you for having me. It
Good
is.
stuff. We'll be right back with The Line to talk about the state of the state's economy.